what would you say are some factors that impact coaching salaries?
Well, the biggest one is if you're hired as a coach for an organization, or if you are being a coach on your own. I think coaches on their own make more. You can make more per hour. There's no doubt, but you're putting also in hours that you're not getting paid for. So there's that. What I see salaries are for coaches, full-time coaches. Also depends on geography. I think I've seen anywhere from like mid 40s to low 70s. Yeah, that seems about where it is. Full-time coaches and health and wellness fields. Executive coaches, I haven't heard as much from executive coaches being hired in-house, but as health and wellness. Academic coaches, I mean, we train a lot of them, and they work in universities, so pretty close to what advisors make. That's Yeah, those are salaries in terms of getting hired full time. Building your own practice is hard. It's a challenge. I did it. You know how it is, Raj. Like you're in it. It's initially hard at first. You don't make as much as you think you will at the beginning, but then it's an exponential curve. You start to hit a tipping point when your client base is stable, when you've had sufficient number of clients and former clients that they start referring other people to you, so you can take your focus off of marketing and put it more on delivering the product. That's a really important tipping point to get to. But then it becomes exponential in that sense that you will make more than you thought you were going to, but it will take for me it took a little bit longer than I wanted it to. But once it started to tip, it was I don't know, inevitable, I guess. Like, of course, all this hard work, all these years of putting in this energy, and here it is right now. That'd be my only encouragement. If you're building your own business or practice, the work might be linear, but the rewards are exponential. So you gotta be easy on yourself.
I think being easy on yourself, and sometimes when I'm coaching new coaches, or I've done some mentoring with new coaches as well, the things that I've seen that have affected, and it did with me initially when I started out as well, the salary, things around self-value as well, either underconfidence or overconfidence. I've seen coaches go in and set really high rate for coaching clients as well. I think, executive coach, I really think that I should be at $250, $300 an hour. I've read that that's kind of the going rate. And my question is always around kind of sustainability as well around your rates. And then I've worked with and spoken to coaches who've been really underconfident and felt that they can't charge, or that they shouldn't charge, or there's been challenges around boundaries. And I think one of the things we might not ask ourselves when we launch a business is, how do I sell, or how good am I at selling as well? Now, I've seen you sell, John. So you're good at it. You're really good at it. What do you think about what I'm sharing?
Yeah, I think it's the story. Like it's trying to get clear on your story and the vision of what you want. And I often ask myself, are the fundamentals correct? Like, is this from the client's perspective? Let's say let's say a new coach charges 100 an hour. Will it make sense? Because it's not just money that the client is putting into it. They're also putting into it their time and energy and emotion and thought and taking a risk and doing all these things. The same, it's not just money. Does it make sense fundamentally for someone to spend that money, that time, energy? Are they getting the value out of it? And what's tough about that is most new coaches feel a need to justify, to answer that question really concretely at the very beginning, and so they really are trying to help the client have an insight or make a decision or solve a problem, that they can say for sure, yes, like solving this problem is definitely worth the 100 an hour that I'm charging. And new coaches, myself included, I felt compelled to make that happen almost every single coaching session, especially in the beginning. And you hear it when you're listening to these recordings, like coaches, and it's a natural human thing to do. When a coach can understand, yes, like the fundamentals of this are correct. And for me, it was by being a client, by feeling what it felt like to be a client and knowing, yes, like absolutely, this is providing me value. And what provides value in a coaching session it's not the coach's advice. It's the ability to process things. And we are living in a society where knowledge is coming at us, ideas, like there's a hose of media that's just being created. Like we are not media poor. But that wasn't always the case. Like, in the past, like getting your hands on a newspaper was a pretty big deal. Even that there was a newspaper that existed was a pretty big deal. That you could read was a pretty big deal. Now it's ubiquitous. So this torrent of information that's just flooding at us, it's more around, we as human beings need space. We need space to process. And you can trust, is it worth 100 an hour to process space? That's a lot of money. That can be a lot of money. And I would say the answer is yes, absolutely. And if you are not being coached, and there's a barrier of entry, there are many coaches who will take on practice clients for free. There are many coaches who will look at having discounted seats. I feel strongly that I do not want cost to be a barrier for anyone to find a coach. If you are looking for one, please contact us. We have plenty of people looking for practice coaches or practice clients. I know that other coaches are offering scholarship seats. Like there's just a lot available to find a coach in this field. And when you start getting into it and start getting coached and you realize yourself, wow, this is almost like priceless. That is another engine to help coaches gain the confidence of the product that they're offering. So I think if coaches are if coaches are feeling hesitant to charge or unconfident about the coaching process, then they should absolutely get a coach, experience it firsthand. Our training is designed that way. That they're coaching and being coached on purpose, because a lot of people who take coach training have never actually hired a coach themselves. That's amazing to me, but it's it's the space.
Yeah, and I've said it about a million times before. It's life-changing when you have a coach yourself. That's what got me into coaching, and I've asked myself that question before, like, what would I pay for coaching as well? What would I hire a coach for? What would I pay them for? And I think that helped me when I was setting my rates and things as well, because it has been invaluable. And thinking about holding space, I have a client who, every time we meet, and I've questioned myself, inner critic can still show up at times. I'm like, what is this guy getting out of the session? He's just, I love it. I love just processing out loud. I ask a few questions here and there. For him, having that space, he doesn't get it anywhere else in his life because of everything else that he does and how busy he is. It's life-changing for him, just having a question now and again thrown in. And it's lovely, isn't it? Even though we shouldn't place our value on the type of questions we're asking, there is, for me, it's so fulfilling. You hear the client say, great question.
Yeah.
When you ask a question and hold that space and just wait.
Yeah. I like when my coach asks very few questions. She just lets me go. I'm like, it's worth it. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Holding that space is really valuable.